All right, Shalom Israel. Quick video giving all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai, double honors to the apostles, elders, great millstone, much salutation to the brothers teaching the word for the hopeful elect, soon to be elect, most high will. To the hopeful extended elect, Shalom, blessings. As you see his shirt, it says Christ is King, and Esau is holding up a weapon. And this he demonstrates, a weapon being fired through a roll of pumpkins. You're posing the question: how many pumpkins does it take to stop a bullet? And I'm gonna play it a little bit so you can see his shirt. And he even tells the people where you can get the shirt from, because I know people are like, "That's a nice shirt," Army shirt with Christ is King. They think Christ is that Caesar Borgia character, you know, uh, and the so-called white man. See, it's been told a lie to America. America's a false Christian country. Um, you didn't, even with citizenship, you didn't have to get your citizenship by means of Christianity or by means of any moral codes. If you had the money and the money's right, then you get that and spend a good life. That according to America, not so much us because we're under the curses, but that's how it goes in America. That this everything is based on finance, financial gain, financial stability. So I'm gonna play a little bit of it, and you can see what it says on the shirt. So, and he might be a Jake, but I mean, we kind of like in spiritual humor, we kind of make points to how these a man could be Edomite or not according to his spirit. Now he's already dealing with weapons and all that. They believe in Caesar Borgia. They believe in American pride. They believe in even going for to war for America in some capacity. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure these a lot of Edomites are well off. And they starting to feel the effects of the economy breaking down. But a lot of them come from well-established, well-off homes. Even the ones that are bums. I mean, a lot of the ones that are bums, they got into drugs. They had a wife and she kicked them out. Vice versa, you know, it could be either or. But reality too is that they're like the apostles always say, they're two-time losers, and they've been lied to. Like, and it says that in the scripture, it says they should complain of an ungodly father, and you have to go to the apocrypha for that. The hidden book, which is a part of the Bible, it's in the 1611. Um, so and it also says in inherited lies. I think that's in the apocrypha too. So no matter what they say, and I would probably, yeah, Jeremiah 16:9. It says, "O Lord, my strength and my fortress," and they don't serve the right Lord. They don't even know who Yahweh is. They starting to know because the prophets are starting. I mean, we been speaking on the corner. They starting to know, but a lot of them still can't get that in their head. They it still can't. It's still unbelievable, like that the so-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans could be a chosen nation of people and God's people. Oh wow, you know. It says, "Oh my fortress." and my refuge in the day of affliction. See, money is their refuge in the day of affliction, and for a lot of 2/3 of our people. But we're talking about, when we talk about chosen, we're talking about the elect mainly inside, because there's a chosen within the chosen. And it says, the Gentiles shall come unto thee from the ends of the earth, and shall say, surely our fathers have inherited lies, vanity, and things wherein there is no profit. Yeah, because the truth is more valuable than anything, and the spiritual house, and the spiritual form and establishment of everything, which goes back to Israelites, saints under Yahweh Yahushai, even the spiritual house of King David. They're going to understand that they have no profit in that. They have, and they had inherited lives from their fathers. So, it's easy to say, well, yeah, we're all, all Christians. This is a Christian country when it comes to America. When it comes to the Edomite children, but and then they say, well, get over it, Negro, and you can even join the America. You can join the army. You can get out and go get your degree. You can become a doctor, lawyer, and all that. And we know that's not so easily done. Even if a Jake, which is any so-called Latino Native American, tried his best, only a few can get in. And you know what I'm saying? They're going to make it hard. Discrimination, and all kind of other ways, other methods that they can hold you back. False accusations. Um, you know, the Karens and the Darrens and all those things apply to keeping us down psychologically. Um, they have entrapment, and those terms that are reality in when it comes to Jake and the system. So, they're going to find out that they have inherited lies from their father. Because what it say, Yahweh Shai was making a point to his own people, saying, you are your father, the devil. He was a murderer from the beginning. He abode not in truth. He's the father of lies. He a liar, and he's the father of lies. And basically, making a point that that's who you act like. You act like Edomites. You follow the heathenistic ways of Edom and Cain. So as if you're the very seed of of Cain and Esau, because really they're the same people reincarnated. So that on their side, they're gonna find out that, oh shit, we're not the children of Israel. We're not true people of God. Even if they make a separation even between the elites and the ones that sit in the high seats and the ones that call themselves Jews are not. Small has they make a separation between them and their own people as being over their people in a way to where, look, yeah, we could be the Jews and y'all be the Christians. Jew and Christian is the same thing. Christian just means anointed. Christ just means the anointed one. He's the only begotten Son. He's the main Son. And through him, the saints become anointed. So you would say Mashiach in Hebrew and Mashiachim as plural, calling them, making it saints with an S. So, and they know the body of the God body. They know, and they tend to imitate it, to where they got to elect within their own nation too. They got a secret brotherhood. They got a, and of course they're not gonna. They're on the left hand side, so they're not gonna tell the average Edomite child, boy and girl, that they're descendants from Esau. They're not gonna say that America was built on wickedness and God is going to judge America in the near future, because they even know, the elites know, they know that. It says in the scriptures, this said by the prophets. Um, so, you know, when our people see this and they say, well, yeah, what about this? He's a Christian. He's one of the good guys. He just because you have a display of so because it talks about they have a form of godliness, but not but righteousness. They establish their own righteousness and think it's. I don't want to butcher the scripture. Uh, time is it? Yeah, I gotta start getting ready. Um, yeah. Well, I can go down. I gotta go to the chapter. Uh, you know, you can read all this, 2 Timothy 3:1, talking about perilous times, parents, unthankful, unholy, disobedient. And if you hang around them Edomites, they're very carefree, moral free, the free spirit thing. They very, even in their so-called manhood stage, their womanhood stage, they're very childish. Like, you know, it talks about them as being children of fools and goofy, and basically, you know, cornballs, the goofy goofballs, man. Uh, they're unthankful, unholy, blasphemous, disobedient, proud, truth breaker, false accuser, all this. Despisers of those that are good, traitors. This American system was built on being a traitor, heady, high-minded. That's the American way. Lovers of pleasure more than lovers of God. You tell them the truth about the Bible and the moral codes, and you tell them about the law, they're gonna be like, and that, the sinners they're gonna be like, who are you to be the judge? They're, as if there's no sinners, as there's no repercussion of disobeying the Most High. There is no moral code. Basically, do as thou will is the American way, and their children they're not only taught that, but they have that in them. Remember, this American system was built on rape, robbery, and murder of millions and millions of slaves and their children, from the children on up to grown and adult, and even somebody on their deathbed being brought a card, a similar Hallmark card with a Negro hanging on it, satisfied their inward part, satisfied them mentally. And it says, having a form of godliness but denying the power thereof, from such turn away. And we got that in our own, within our own the body of Israel. That's why you gotta be. But those that go to church, those that say God and Christ, and wear the T-shirts, Yahweh and Yahweh is, they're not it's not a banner, a physical banner of approval that uh, that deems you to be a Christian. And it says endure hard times. It says as a good soldier of Yahweh Shai, a good soldier of Christ. It says, but it's said, talking about Yahweh Shai. It says, he that endured to the end, same shall be saved. So when it comes to adversity, and it talks about a lot about that in the Apocrypha, when it comes to adversity and hard times, sufferings, these people are not built for that. So those are the true, more so the true Christians And the true uh, people of God, the ones that are able to suffer, able to go through these trials and tribulation and still call on the name of God. Because if you told them that God was like that, that he causes suffering or he puts suffering on you as a test, or he chastising often his sons often, they would think that you was a demon or reading from a demon book or twisting the words, which they do today. They act like we're twisting the words of the Bible. But like I said, they didn't grow up knowing that, you know. So, you know, you they have to soon find out. But, you know, for the true Edomites that are really Edomites, this is their way. This is what they believe in. And this is what they fight for, you know, for the pride of their state, their country, their men, the blood of their country, and so forth. And all the things that I read that are against the scriptures, and it's packaged up and as a banner, only a banner, not by truth, but by a banner of falsehood, of mainly is so-called Christianity. You know, so this, like, you'll see a lot of people, like, as we get toward the end of the world and it gets worse and worse, you'll still see people out here making videos like this that don't got nothing to do with the Most High. How many punks does it take to stop a bullet? It doesn't have anything to do with the Most High. And he might have other folly videos. TikTok is a folly, but they're starting to really know that it's much reality going on, what truth says and the Bible than they think it is, and it's displayed on those platforms such as TikTok and YouTube, and you know, so, and the couple of the latest ones that the apostle has been saying to make what do you call it, Rumble and Odyssey. But you know, don't be fooled by these the so-called Christians, man. Don't be fooled by the form of godliness. Just because somebody got a Christian hat or Christian shirt or walk with a suit and they go into a building where they teach, so-called teach the Bible, or a pastor in your church or coming out of church and funding this and part of the humanitarian uh, uh, these humanitarian projects that give to the poor and all that. If you're not feeding the sheep the word of the Most High, all your stuff is in vain. You know, all your stuff is in vain, man. You might as well not be giving. You might as well not. You know, you could be passing out sandwiches and all that. And like the apostle said, if you're not speaking 100% truth, uh, you know, but you passing out sandwiches and you're doing a so-called good service for citizens, good service for natural disaster survivors, you're still, that's not a part of the work, man. Feed the sheep first, you know, and then they through their faith they could pray to be taken care of in those times. You know, you don't have to physically see food or physically see things happening for your saving, for your salvation's sake, for you not to believe in salvation. You know, but that's what they go off of. They go off this physical, to where if something's not working, they think, well, hey, God must not be real, or God doesn't love me because he didn't answer my prayer. I wanted, I was asking to escape this disaster, and now my house is flooded. Well, that's the part of the trials and tribulation. That's a part of the, and it, and I'm speaking to myself because we witnessed many trials. We still have many trials to go. I'm I'm not saying like it's easy, but I'm just saying, just because you're going through trials and tribulation, that don't, doesn't mean, and sufferings doesn't mean that Most High is against you. But of course, if you're an Edomite, you're not even gonna consider suffering and trials and tribulation. You know, Christ to them, Christ is king, but they lightly said to where Christ is money, Christ is material gain, Christ is, for them, Christ is winning a war against another, America winning a war against another country, uh, and so forth, so forth. So, you can't always believe, and it talks about that in scriptures. Don't believe they shall say, Lord, Lord, here, Lord, and here, there, paraphrasing, and don't believe in it. They shall have a form of godliness, but they're not true. So, they got the wrong Christ for one, and they think God is this mythical being, so to speak, that you could, you could just channel in when you want to like a genie in a bottle or whatever, to come out and save them in the time of trouble just by saying Jesus or saying Christ. It's more than that, but those are not even his real name, that the Father's name and his Son's name. So they got that wrong. But it's a journey, and it's a experience, and it's with trials and tribulation. So anyway, hopefully there's that fine to the next video. Shalom.